Welcome to another video on the Drew Wolfer YouTube channel. We have a really good AMA for you today. This person you may or may not know, but one thing is for sure, you will know him by the end of this video. This is Gary Cardone, and we're going to talk to him about how he got to where he is, why he's so bullish on the crypto markets, where he sees the crypto markets taking the global economic market. And we are going to talk to him about one of his businesses that he has created inside of the crypto market as well. So I'll give Gary the chance to introduce himself because I can introduce him. I met him in Austin. I met him in Miami, but no one knows Gary better than Gary does. So Gary, let's just give everybody a brief level, kind of high level overview of who you are, what you do, and kind of how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, thanks, Drew, and good morning. And I hear that you're moving closer to the blockchain alley, what I call blockchain alley, which is St. Pete and Tampa. So glad to have you and your wife and family. I would define myself as maybe a multidisciplinarian that has had from a macroeconomic perspective, I've always loved studying history and markets. I think markets are really fascinating. I've never really been that interested in watching a baseball game or a football game on a TV screen. I think that like playing in markets is 7 days a week. You get to go to the Super Bowl. I think business is extremely similar to sports and running military operations. And I think if more founders, in particular the young companies, knew more about history and the art of war, that there would be less failures, because I think, especially in a global market where there's so many opportunities, the founder can become really very reactive to opportunities and to problems they have that take them off course. I've had the opportunity to spend 20 years in the energy business. Retired from that when I was 42, I think. Helped build a Fortune 30 company before there was a word called unicorns. I mean, when unicorns were really unicorns, and now there's something else. And we were just really fortunate and in the right place with the right culture at the right time to reform and transform the energy complex in the United States. And if you could do that, it gave me a tremendous education as to supply and demand, regulations, how oligopolies and like large utility constructs work. That was really fascinating. 20 years. I then moved took 3 or 4 years off. I have always been someone that did not want to become a slave to business. And part of the slavery story is, hey, I'm in an industry for 20 years. I'm making $6 or $7 million a year. I've got 600 people reporting to me. I'm in London, which was a big deal for a guy from Louisiana. And why am I here in this job? I'm not really enjoying the job anymore. I know where it's going to go. It's no longer a creation event for me. It's more of a management. And really looked in the mirror one day and said, look, the only reason I'm here is because I'm making so much money. And everybody tells you in your career path, hey, once you're doing something and you've got to that point, why would you walk away from it? And I was like, because I'm not enjoying it. And the only reason I'm here is for money. And I think that's a horrible reason to show up for anything. I took the risk of calling my boss, sold all my stock in one afternoon, called my boss and said, look, you got 6 months to replace me. I think they had to move 4 or 5 people into my job. So I told them I was underpaid the whole time. And came back to the United States, took time off to study history, religion, and myself. And that was a great move for me. The stock went from $55 to 60 cents in about 6 months. So following my instincts and my goals for myself was really important. That led me to the payments industry. I met a lady on an airplane and she pulled me into the payments industry because she didn't know how to make money. So I helped commercialize that, became Chargebacks 911, which is a big business that I've exited. taught me, I think we spent 12 years in the payment industry, which led me to blockchain and Bitcoin because of the understanding of how commodities really work from the energy complex, but also watching the payment rails, credit cards, debit cards, that whole exchange, wire transfers, ACH, watching that industry that is 70 years old and the plumbing's just breaking around the entire infrastructure. You have massive declines on credit cards in first world nations, which should not happen. You have refunds that are out of control. You have chargebacks. There's fraud all over the place. And that really brought me to blockchain and Bitcoin, which I began investing in 2018. And then in 2022, I bought Node 40, I bought 40% of them. And we've been scaling that business. So I don't even look at analog deals anymore. If somebody shows up with an infrastructure deal, I won't look at it. I will only look at blockchain and Bitcoin. I am so convinced this is the future because it fixes so many of the problems in the past, say 100 years. Any business that's been built in the last 100 years is really exposed. So that's and I like really highly disruptive markets. I add a lot of value to these disruptive markets. I can shape them. I'm not scared of shaping them. And this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So I just couldn't miss it. I just couldn't miss it.
Hey, I'll speak for the whole crypto and blockchain and Web3 community. We're happy to have people like you on the team, man. Seriously. And I'm going to screen share and show Node 40 really quick, just so that everybody knows like where to go and find it and stuff like that. Node40.com. Everybody can go and check it out. They've got a lot of solutions up here. They've got all of these performance audits, stuff like that, DeFi accounting, tax liabilities, all that stuff. Feel free to go onto the website, do your research. I wanted to ask you really quick though. So what kind of made you come into, because a lot of people are just like, there's Michael Saylor, right? He's like, I just buy Bitcoin. I just buy Bitcoin. I'm never going to sell Bitcoin, right? So what made you like kind of pivot from just investing in crypto and on the underlying cryptocurrency blockchain assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever coin it may be, or even a token, and say, hey, I'd like to get exposure to this market in terms of a business? And what kind of pivoted that for you?
Yeah, it's a really interesting story. So, first off, let's clarify one thing. When I talk about, if I use the word crypto, I think you're the one that used it. I try to stay away from cryptocurrency because everything gets smashed into one bucket. My belief is that Bitcoin, unlike any other commodity in the world or any other asset in the world, Bitcoin makes up its own asset class. Now, when the professionals, some of the younger people here may not, and by the way, I really appreciate you saying, hey, look, we really welcome you here in this space. I have felt very welcomed here by most of the people. I'm here to like help this industry grow. And I would embrace all you got. I would embrace a lot of the older guys coming in here. They have a lot of experience that you can't, like, some of the lessons I've had to learn have cost me, like this last lesson cost me $200 million. Okay, like net earnings to my family cost me $200 million because I made a mistake. Wow. So when you start thinking, and that's not the only multi-$100 million mistake I've made. One, it's cool if you can survive it. That's really, I survived it, so that's awesome. But you don't really need to go through that if you surround yourself. There's no reason to make the mistakes that other people have already made. That's my point. Yep. So I would embrace some of these older gentlemen because they have tremendous contacts and an understanding of how these things roll out. For me, I had been buying a lot of Bitcoin. I also had an Ethereum position, and I had surrogate positions that my bank wouldn't necessarily allow me to buy Bitcoin on, but I could go buy Grayscale or MicroStrategy or whatever. Had a pretty heavy position. Went down about 76%, like everybody else. I had 7 margin calls. I tell everyone that if you're sweating your Bitcoin position, your position's too big. There's no reason to sweat your positions unless, and if you're looking at a chart every day, I think your position's probably too big unless you're just, you know, a professional day trader. I was in the middle of a divorce. I had an opportunity to take 50 and 60,000 coins, $50 and $60,000 coins, experience a tax loss with that, move those coins over to Node 40. Node 40 happened, came about, fell into my lap really, after I wrote, which I do every time I walk into a new industry. I begin creating a script, a little storyline on a book. I do a lot of writing. And I said, look, if I was ever going to build another business, it would have to fit these criteria. One, it was in blockchain and Bitcoin. It was with technologists, and it was with founder technologists that their egos had been flattened, that they had come to the Jesus moment of realizing a founder finds an idea. That does not necessarily mean that he is the general of the army moving forward. And I think we have a lot of founders in that position where they have a good idea, but they immediately assess that, okay, my idea means that I'm the king of the idea and I'm going to execute on it. The analogy I use is the M107 50 caliber sniper weapon, one of the best weapons on the planet. You know, they engineer it, the machinist, the guy's a genius, he's an engineer, he knows everything about this piece of equipment, but he doesn't shoot the gun. He actually hires a guy like you to shoot the gun. And this guy knows nothing about metals and machining and pressures, but he does know about how a bullet flies. And he's got a trigger finger and he knows how to breathe. So why a founder would immediately think, okay, I'm the best guy to run the company. This was my exercise, and it was trying to fix past mistakes, governance, when to exit, when to take money, when to take debt, how to expand. This deal, literally after I finished writing this in a notebook, 2 weeks later popped on my lap. A guy from Goldman called me and said, hey, have you seen this deal? And I had not. Reached out to their angel investor who was raising about $1.5 million. He wanted me to go to a webinar, and I'm like, huh? Webinar? I'm going to do the whole $1.5 million. I'm not going to go to a webinar. I called up Perry on LinkedIn, went on LinkedIn. Hey, who's the CEO of Node 40? Perry called me 20 minutes later, and 3 weeks later, he was in my home for a week, and his founder were here, and we got to know each other extremely well. I got to understand what their real agenda was, like at a human level. And really fell in love with the people, their technology, their intellect, and their ethics. And we did a deal. The angel investor missed their date to fund, which they always do. And I told him, I said, hey, if he misses his date, I'm not going to mess the deal up. But if you miss your date, call me up. Missed the date, I funded the whole thing. I moved $3.5 million on the day Celsius blew up.
Ooh.
I moved $3.5 million from 5 institutions, 2 which no longer are around. On a Saturday at 2:30, $3.5 million went to Perry. He transferred the funds into Node 40 2 minutes later and had access to those funds on that day. That would never have happened in a political currency environment, what you call fiat. I call it political currency. Let's start using words that, you know, the eighth graders can understand. It's political currency. They play with it to get votes. Yep. You and I can't do that. I don't have any political currency except my personality and my good name. And so that's how Node 40 came about. Put $4 million into it. We're doing a raise right now for 12, a Series A. It'll probably be the last money we raise, and I think it's $1 billion opportunity. It's a picks and shovels business. So for me, like what did I do? Why would anyone do this? It gives me complete access to blockchain and Bitcoin. If this industry grows to 100 trillion, Node 40 grows. I've removed all my commodity risk, my underlying commodity risk. I took a monster tax loss, about 800 grand. Okay. So, wow. Now the business really cost me 3.2. And I was able to reload I have bought every Bitcoin back that I used over the last probably 6 months to fund the bloody company. So I'm back net. I'm back exactly where I was. In fact, I'm at a better position with Bitcoin with a better cost base. And I own probably controlling interest in a company that's going to be a significant player in this space. I mean, I think this is $1 billion opportunity. I don't build little small companies. I try to go in and go, hey, this is a $500 million business at least. It meets a great demand and a great need for the market. And this is my message about, like, people go, hey, what should I buy? What should I buy? I'm like, you don't need to buy any Bitcoin. This is an industry you can get a job in. There are so many roles for people to play, whether it's an investor or building these companies. Being a secretary for a guy like me, like I just hired this woman's going to learn. She's ex-Coast Guard, came out of an accounting firm, just doing this. This woman, 29 years old, zero experience with blockchain and Bitcoin. She's going to learn everything about this industry. And she should end up, if she stays and she puts her head down, she will be a player in this space. So, like, it's just an unbelievable opportunity. No prior requirements required. None. Zero. So I don't see many opportunities like that. I think people that are exploit opportunities. I am an exploiter. I think the word exploit is not a negative. It's been turned into a negative. I know when to pull the trigger. That's really what I'm great at. Just because you did an MBA in Boston does not mean you know how to pull the trigger, right? So I have never seen an opportunity like this in my entire life, ever.
Yeah.
For a guy like me to be able to work with young guys like you, and then you're saying, hey man, we really value you being here. Very few industries value me being anywhere because I disrupt stuff everywhere I go. So most people want, hey, Gary, you just go home, get out of here. And I leave as soon as the market becomes hyper efficient, I'm gone. So as long as everybody wants to get efficient, like, I'll never be in a market if it's efficient. But if it's all broken and messed up, ooh, I love those. So this is absolutely one of those.
I think there's a lot to be said for that as well. Just kind of iterating your point on bringing new people into the market, like younger people, or even, people from your generation that have a lot more, we'll say, knowledge, clout, whatever you want to call it, and experience, right? Because there's a plethora of knowledge out there that I think we need to pluck to bring it into this market. Because if you see everything that's happened in this market, right? Like, I get it. All of the traditional markets, they have their problems, they have their collapses and stuff like that. But you've got things happening like Luna, you've got things happening like Anchor, like SBF, and things like that. And those don't happen as frequently, is my point, in these traditional markets. They still happen, absolutely. But is 9 out of 10 projects or companies going to fail in traditional finance? Not necessarily, but it seems like in crypto, it's like 9 out of 10 go nowhere, most of these companies, and they're called projects for a reason, because I don't think people know if they're actually going to be successful. So I do think that there's a lot to be said for that opportunity that you're saying with, like, the lady that you hired. I think she will probably be a heavy hitter because she's going to learn from one of the best people that she can possibly learn from. She's not going to be learning from an SBF. She's going to be learning from someone who has already learned those lessons in a different arena, though, and maybe not made those same mistakes or been as greedy, right? Because that's basically what it came down to with SBF. I don't think he had any idea what he was doing, and it just came down to greed and power at that point. And there's a certain level of person, a certain type of person that you can put that type of power or capital into their hands, and they're okay with it and they can handle it. And then there's certain people that you cannot. And I see a lot of those people inside of the blockchain and the Web3 markets right now. So that's why I'm like so jacked, honestly, from just like a personal and a I guess kind of a selfish level, to see people like yourself coming in and saying, you know what? I see the future in this, right? And willing to put in their time, their effort, their network, their net worth into this industry, because I think it's going to take us where we need to go, where we can have those traditional, you talk about picks and shovels. I'm building picks and shovels as well. I have a company that runs blockchain infrastructure. I have a software company that's supposed to basically secure blockchain transactions so that people can't lose their money. I fully understand exactly what you're saying about the picks and shovels, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to get us where we need to go. And that's,
Yep.
everybody wants that $1 million Bitcoin. How do we get there? These types of tools and these types of like checks and balances. And I feel like people like you are the ones that are bringing it into this market. Like more of a substantial growth can come in because of that, right? So let's talk about a little bit of what Node 40 actually is, because I know people are going to look into it. And is it more of a B2B solution? Is it B2C? Or, what's your target market? What's the goal with Node 40? Because if you're coming in on it, I know it's not going to be something that doesn't matter, right? It's going to be something big, and there's a real use case and there's a real reason why you're, touching it.
Yeah. So not to be a pitch, okay? Because I hate people that come on podcasts and do a pitch. I actually hate convention centers that, the guys go on, it's just a pitch. It's like I come here to get educated. So look, the way first off, I think the fraud and forensic space, which is the space I'm in, and big data, these spaces survive no matter what the underlying value is. Okay, like you're gonna have fraud and forensics and audits. If you're holding Bitcoin, you're going to be audited. Okay, you will be audited. Like if you've never been audited, you're going to be audited. Okay, I'm telling you right now, you're going to be audited. The Republicans and the Democrats have approved a $55 billion expansion budget for the IRS. You got, what's her name, Maxine and Warren walking around saying $50 billion in tax income has not been recovered from U.S. citizens. There's 48 to 50 million U.S. citizens with crypto positions on their tax forms, and less than 1 million have paid taxes. Like, if you guys think that you're going to play in Bitcoin and not pay your taxes, you need to leave this country, because you're going to be found to be a criminal, and they're already looking. So I'm like you have a head start. You're not going to be penalized for anything you didn't do 3 years ago. I would take that as a gift and move on, get your shit together. The sooner we get our shit together and start behaving like this is $100 trillion industry instead of a Ponzi scheme at a carnival, we will do better. And look, we all contributed to this. Celsius, FTX. Some of us knew, hey, this does not smell right, taste right, look right, but nobody ever says it. So all these crypto exchanges that are just popping up, and I heard about one the other day. Guy launches a token and his salary is $600,000. You know what my salary is? Zero. Okay, it's always been zero. Like, I love zero salaries. Okay, because I am into the equity piece of this thing. If I told you I'm raising $12 million for Node 40 and I'm going to take 8 of it, nobody would invest with me. But in tokens, it's like, what the f are y'all doing, dude? This is ridiculous. Okay. So for me, it's pretty frustrating, and it really is. The U.S. government should be asking the question of, why are our public so stupid that they would invest in some of these? Okay, like it's really an education thing. Like, why would you buy some of this stuff? I mean, I've heard people lose $400,000 of their retirement plan being in. Anyway, it's a lack of education. So the Node 40 piece, coming from the commodity background, I've traded the most violent commodities in the world. I mean, a Bitcoin is, quite frankly, not that violent compared to electricity. Electricity is violent. Okay, you go look at what happened in Germany this year. Went from 300 to 1700 overnight. Yeah. I mean, the entire German government and all the utilities are broke, and no one's talking about it. When I say broke, I mean broke and broken, not recoverable unless they release a lot of funding. Node 40 for me was, I looked around the industry, nobody knows what their cost base is. What's your cost base on Bitcoin in one wallet? You don't know. Like that's
Yeah.
amateur hour, okay? Like you can ask a crude oil trader what his position is at the end of the day. I'm 76.08 on 1 million barrels. He knows, like everyone needs to know. There are
Mhm.
so many tools. This industry blew up, and there is no infrastructure to actually help not only the investors understand their position, but the professionals around the investor. Now,
Yeah.
what investor am I talking about? I'm not talking about someone with $400 of crypto in 12 wallets. If you're doing that, you should not be here, okay? You will not be able to afford what it costs to actually manage those 12 wallets.
Mhm.
So I'm not a consumer guy. Node 40 is not a consumer business. It was before I got there. I was trying to do both things. I immediately cut off the consumer piece. There's 6 or 7 of these companies trying to go after the consumer. The problem for me is when you build a consumer model, you will never serve Goldman Sachs with that product. But if I build a product that allows me to serve the Goldman Sachs's of the world, or the Ernst and Youngs, or the big legal firms that are going to be doing FTX investigations,
Yep.
handling a consumer with $400 is easy. I just rip out some of that software and make it available. In fact, I'm talking to someone right now, and they're going to probably take Node 40's infrastructure and do a consumer model with it. But I'm not going to do it. Why? One, I'm not greedy. And 2, I understand that running a business going direct to consumers is very, very different than running a business trying to serve the IRS, the DOJ, the SEC. That's one vertical for us, okay? When I bought this company, never ever thought about serving the IRS. That's absolutely on the plate now because we have tools that can do this. There's 13,000 accounting and tax firms. There's 50 million digital holders of US digital holders, and there's only been a few thousand, couple 100,000 tax forms filled out. Why? Because the accounting firms cannot digest all this data.
Yeah.
We have, the large accounting firms saying it's taken them 300 hours to prepare a $500,000 portfolio.
Yep.
Okay, well, 400 hours at $200 a pop is $80,000 to $100,000 in fees to do a $500,000 portfolio. The guy's not going to pay that. Okay, so the Ernst and Young or the PwC or the KPMG have to figure out: do I want to lose $100,000 filling out a tax form just to keep this guy's business? They will have to, because all the legacy stuff is going to go with it, right? So a guy like me, I've had 13 doctors because I've had a bunch of surgeries. I've had probably 15 lawyers because I've had a bunch of businesses. I've had 3 wives. I've had 1 accountant my whole life, man. And that when it hit me, and everybody laughs like you do, no one wants to change their accountant. It's easier to change your bloody wife than it is to change your accountant. I mean, I don't mean to say that, but it's hard, right? He has all my history. So my guy took 5 days to look at a buy-only side Bitcoin position of around $20 million. Took 5 days, charged me $40,000, and made a $700,000 mistake. Okay, why? He's literally using a human being to go through a spreadsheet that's so complex. And I am not a complex trader. I just buy the stuff and store it.
Yep.
When I saw that, I invited him to my home to meet the Node 40 team. And as soon as he walked through the door, I said, "Hey, Todd, by the way, you're fired. And you're fired because I know you're going to say no to my pitch, which is you need to buy the Node 40 software." This was his response: "Gary, I have 800 clients. Only 2 of them have digital." And I said, "No, you have 799 clients and only 1 of them has digital because I'm leaving."
Yeah.
Okay, now think of the significance of this. I had less than 10% of my net worth tied to digital. He screwed it up. I'm moving everything now, not just the crypto. I'm moving real estate. This is an easy move for me. The real estate, the earnings, the K1s, the distributions, all that is really easy compared to the digital. So I think you're going to see a wave of players like myself who have extensive exposure to professionals. I'm talking lawyers, forensics. You get to a certain category and, you get a lawsuit, and then you go through a divorce, you have all these professionals. Well, it dawned on me from that meeting, oh, wow, the professional around me is my biggest liability. It's not Bitcoin. It's the people around me that don't understand this. So we began morphing the tool of Node 40 to do this. Node 40 basically is a way to give the user crystal clarity on what he did that day, that quarter, that month, that year. It also builds up a whole narrative story, especially for hodlers. This is very, very important. You got a kid, right? So you're hodling, you're buying 10 Bitcoin a year or whatever you buy, and you store it for 30 years. You've done the seed phrases, you've got your security locked down, you're awesome. You get hit by some lightning, and in the year 2050, your kids wake up, you've given them, 400 Bitcoin. But they have no idea where the money came that you funded that with. They have no idea how to explain all the wallet moves back to Fidelity, back into your wallet, back staking program. I mean, these coins are going to move so many times because the opportunities are going to be created. Your kids will spend minimally, if assuming they even retain the freaking inheritance, because I think the government will be so broke by then. They become draconian. If you can't prove it, it's theirs, right? That's what's going to happen. Hey, if you can't prove dad didn't use drug money or gun money to get this, or non-tax money, we're going to take it from you. But minimally, you're going to be dead in your grave, relaxing, and they're going to be going through legal audits, investigations. Node 40's job is to compress all questions. Like, I did this with 12 lawyers, showed them my position. What should have taken 8 hours was a 10-minute meeting, okay? And I'm down 76%, so I look like an idiot. But the clarity that we provided from the Node 40 software allowed the judge, allowed the other party's lawyers. It pulled all the O2 out of the air. They had no gasoline to light a fire with, even though I was down 76%. The clarity alone, the judge literally said, wow, there's more clarity on his digital assets than there are on all the other stuff. So that's what Node 40 is. It's really a tool to tell forensics, auditors, tax people, and the investor himself, or maybe the board, maybe the company, what your position is. It also allows you to do things like, hey, maybe I should do some tax loss harvesting, okay? Like, there's opportunities, and your professionals will know this. Let's say you sell Wolfer Publications. You sell it, you make $100 million. Dude, your professionals, you have a $20 million capital gain. Your professionals should be looking at your crypto position going, hey, you could scrape out $8 million, dude. Take a loss on the $8 million, okay? Net it up against the 20 in capital gains. How are they going to know that if they don't have crystal clarity on your position, right? So this is just about moving into being professional. This tool is for a $500,000 or heavier user, right? Like, you've got 10 Bitcoin. If you bought it at $100, you need a solution like this. Because if you're in Puerto Rico, if you're in a tax haven, and you're not buying a software solution that will push all the investigators back on their heels because you have more clarity than they do, you are making a gross mistake. You shouldn't even be in Puerto Rico, right? You're literally gonna lose the 20% tax arb. So I've never seen anybody that's too professional. Have you? The more professional people are, I think of big trading houses, right? Like this, these are the tools they need and will want. And in order for this industry to actually grow up and meet Goldman Sachs, it has to have these type of tools.
Yep. I agree, man. I agree. I'm in the same boat with you. It was a very easy decision when we were thinking on PreSend, right? And we were like, who does this better serve, right? Does this better serve the retail consumer? Yeah, they can use it. The solution's right there. Like you said, you can pull that software out, boom, right over here. We've got extensions, we've got web apps. You can connect your wallet, send it wherever, right? But who does it better protect? The person that's sending $50 or the institution that's sending 500 million, right? Which is probably going to pay more, which is going to say, hey, I need this more, right? The person that sends $20 or the person that sends 20 million. Of course, it's going to be the institutions. So I always look for those B2B solutions as well. And I think that Node 40 is in the right ballpark for that. They've got the right game plan as well. And then kind of like you said, extracting that software and saying, hey, retail people, if you'd like to use it, great. But you don't have to use it if you don't want to as a retail person, because chances are, if you're with one of these higher level accounting firms that you guys have already given this software to, they're already using it for you. You wipe your hands of it. You don't even have to think about it. And it's white labeled, and your accountants are like, hey, we've got your crypto covered. We don't ever lose clients. And now they don't even know that they're using Node 40, but it's running in the background. So it truly is that pick and shovel. It truly is that like back end infrastructure that basically holds together all of those major institutions. And like you said, being able to license something like that out to the IRS, out to the SEC, out to these large accounting firms, especially like the big fours, like Deloitte and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, dude, I can't even imagine, just the level of transparency that crypto offers in terms of being able to track everything on the blockchain. And the fact that we're not, that's the craziest part, is everybody brags about that. Hey, you can track everything on the blockchain. Web3 is the future. All the transactions are there. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter whether you sent Bitcoin or Ethereum, but no one does it until somebody steals money. And then they're like, go to the blockchain. But it's like whenever you're trying to file your taxes, whenever you're trying to do things above board, whenever you're trying to make sure that you are setting things up for your children, your children's children, or just, being a legit person at the end of the day, a lot of people don't have the solution to be able to make sure that they're tracking things properly. And bringing solutions like this to the market is something that, in my opinion, is going to help usher in that new age of adoption, that global blockchain Web3 adoption. That's what's going to get us there. That's what's going to get us the $100,000 Bitcoin. That's what's going to get us the $1 million Bitcoin eventually. And that's what everybody wants. I know I want $1 million Bitcoin, because that means that, I mean, Wolfer Finance's portfolio is going to go to the moons of Jupiter if that's the case. But these are the solutions that need to be built in order for that to happen. So I'm extremely excited to have people like you in here building that, disrupting the market with the mentality of, hey, if this market was solid, I wouldn't even be in it. I'm here to help change it. I'm here to help like foster that growth and usher in that new era in that global adoption, because that's what we need right now, because it's the wild, wild west. And you've got a bunch of these young guys that come in, they don't know anything about anything. They've probably never ran a business a day in their life. They've never built a business. They probably worked a 9 to 5, 5 minutes ago, until they created some, coin or token or whatever D app it is that they've created. And then they don't know how to manage it, and they don't bring in good people because they don't want to give up the equity. And then a lot of them are just saying, hey, if I bring in, $1 million, I'm going to take $750,000 worth of it. We'll put 250 into development, and then it just boom, goes to nothing. So yeah, these are the types of solutions that really excite me in the market. And having people like you coming in here, kind of giving it that like vote of confidence, saying, hey, I've done all of these things in traditional, markets. I've disrupted these industries. I know what type of knowledge I'm bringing in from these industries, and I'm bringing it to you, blockchain, Web3, man, hands down. And, I welcome it. I know I welcome it. And, you also understand from a fundamental and almost like ethical level why certain regulations are there for that reason, right? Because, we see all of these, what we're calling rug pulls, what we're calling frauds, right? We see these happening every single day. And I've been trying to explain to people, like, I know you guys don't like the big brother mentality, the SEC and the IRS being all in your business, and I get that. But if we're not going to self-regulate and say, 'cause there's two ways we can do it. We can either let the big
Right.
dogs come in
That's
and
right.
say, we already know how to do this because we're doing it in traditional markets. here's the laws, here's the regulations, let's mold it. Or we can self-regulate, but it doesn't seem like people want to self-regulate because they keep buying into those, hey, I'll make you 2% every day Ponzi schemes and all of these weird frauds that people are pitching them all of these, dreams and lavish ideas that'll never end up panning out normally, majority of the time. Obviously, some people win, if they get in early enough on Ponzi's, we get that, but it's the majority of people lose. So if we self-regulated, then we wouldn't need that help from the outside agencies, but it doesn't seem like most people are willing to do that in this market. It seems like it has this very like get rich quick mentality, and just not how life works, unfortunately. I wish that, well, actually, I don't wish that life worked like get rich quick, because then a Snickers bar would be $1,000, right? So it's economies to scale. If everybody's a millionaire, then that means a bottle of water costs $200, so, and you're still lower class as a millionaire, right?
Yeah, it was
Because then
really,
everybody
really
else is
interesting.
billionaires.
So someone was, did some math the other day and said, look, if the government just gave everyone $5.4 million, it would be equivalent to literally the guy was pitching this on Twitter Spaces or something. Everyone should get $5.5 million. What he doesn't understand is, dude, now that's the way to explain inflation. Okay.
Yeah.
We give everyone $5.4 million. This is what's going to happen. My $8 million home is going to be worth 40 or 50 million.
Yep.
Your car will cost you $1 million. A date will cost you 10 grand. Okay, just going to dinner. Why? Because there's so much money all over the place. See, tells me
Gotta pay people
don't understand inflation. Like, dude, you give $5.5 million to everyone, it's no different than what we're doing right now.
Yeah. What does that do to the minimum wage? Like if everybody has $5 million now,
there no minimum wage.
They're not going to work for $12.
They're not going to work for anything, right? They're
Yeah.
going to, talk about destroy a social marketplace. It's interesting, just back on the accounting piece, I think actually just some advice to your viewers is what I would do is I would start calling around to your legal people. Like if you're sitting here going, whoa, I don't have any legal people around me, and you have a $500,000 position and you think Bitcoin's going to $1 million, you need to understand something. That is a business, okay? Your investment in Bitcoin now has become a business.
Yep.
I took Node 40 and said, look, I'm going to write a quality earnings report, literally hit a button after I have all the data. You could literally hit a quality of earnings report for you and your whole portfolio, telling you exactly what you did, and everybody else around you gets to see, oh, wow, I didn't make money there. I traded too much over here. I should have just stuck to this right here. I would have made more money. I think actually I would be calling the professional saying, I want to meet your digital division. And if they say, we don't have a digital division, hang up the phone and move on. Okay. If you can't find those people, call me. I will tell you. Because I think what's getting ready to happen, all you guys that are buying this $150 software program to protect your $1 million crypto, you're going to show up to the accounting firms and they're going to say, hey, awesome, thank you so much for your software, but we're still going to charge you for our software because we're putting our name on this tax form. They're not going to listen to your spreadsheet, your napkin, and they don't really care if it's going to be from XYZ tax crypto expert, right? It's their name. So I would find you're going to end up paying that company, and then you're going to pay your accounting firm. So I would, if I were you, go straight to the source, the accounting or legal firm, and ask, where's your digital division? If you can't find them, call me. If you have a position, you're going to be in this space, you might as well surround yourself with these people now. It is not expensive to protect yourself against an audit that could cost you $100,000 to $300,000. And understand something, dude, they don't care if you only have 100 grand worth of crypto. It costs what it costs to do these things. So if you have $10 million worth of crypto, that audit could last, a longer time. So how quickly, if I'm not doing anything illegal, like if you're doing something illegal, you're not going to use my solution. Because we pitched FTX and his dad this. They ran like a little lamb with their no interest in crypto clarity, right? So 100%. It's all there. This is a great space. You don't have to steal. to make money here. You don't have to do anything dodgy here to have a front end position into the market. Like you see all these major players coming in. Why are guys like me? I was on the phone with Dan Tapiro yesterday. I didn't know Dan Tapiro 6 months ago. Now I'm investing in his bloody, RT fund. He's a monster. Okay. I mean, this guy is all in on this space. Mark Yusko, all in on this space. Scaramucci, all in on this space. You can say what you want about these type of people. They all have similar personalities to mine. This is the first wave of old guys and old Wall Street guys going, whoa, this thing is going to be awesome. We are at stage one of this game. And I just go back to, like, if you're struggling in your company right now, if you don't really have a great role and you're not happy with your career, this is an unbelievable opportunity, ground level, $100 trillion industry that's being farmed here. And you really got to ask yourself, you only need one piece of data. Why are so many smart people coming here? Smart people with a lot of capital.
A lot of capital.
We can't all be stupid, okay? There must be something going on here that's worth putting some attention on. So anyway, that's no party, man. I'm really excited about it.
I'm excited too.
Investors that have a really cool position and they wanted to take us, a look at this deal. Happy to show it to them. I needed an accredited guy, and we're going to be way oversubscribed on the $12 million raise. And I'm just really, really excited that I found something that can keep me interested and engaged with the community.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. No, it's honestly, it's a breath of fresh air to see people building in this ecosystem, because that's what it needs, especially if we're going to usher in that new age of the adoption, where it's like all of the, the Goldmans, and we'll say, let's just go with the big names that are coming in right now. You've got the BlackRocks, the Fidelities, the Charles Schwabs, the Citadel Securities that own, those three own EDX exchange, right? That's going to bring in all of these retirement portfolios, and at the very least give them access to being able to put a portion, if not a lot, of their retirement portfolios into crypto, whether it be Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash. And then you've got the ETFs that are coming out from BlackRock, Fidelity, all as Coinbase. I mean, Coinbase is literally making their own blockchain, which I thought was really cool, called Base. And there's just so many big players that are building in this space that they're getting ready to enter. Oh my gosh, like it's going to get wild here very soon. And I think people are starting to realize that. And whenever that actually happens, I mean, it's going to push us to a bull run that we've probably never seen before. Because granted, the other bull runs, I get it in terms of like X's. How many X's did it go? Did it go 100X? Yeah, those were really cool. But in terms of actual cash flow coming in, when these guys come in, you're talking billions and trillions of dollars worth of assets under management at all of these firms. That's real money coming in. That's when you get real global adoption to blockchain and Web3. And you even see the CEO of BlackRock a couple of years ago, he was like, I'm not touching crypto. I'm not touching Bitcoin. I'm not touching blockchain, because it had that stigma. And now he's like, actually, blockchain makes a lot of sense. And it's like, cool, dude, go make your Bitcoin ETF and use your contacts to get it approved, and let's get to it. So yeah, man, I'm glad to have you here, man. To be honest with you, it's great. And I'm, humbled and, appreciative to have you on the channel talking about it.
Well, listen, if you didn't have a channel, I wouldn't be here. So I appreciate you. On the comment you made about Blackstone, it's what I call the 25-hour phenomena.
Yeah.
I do not know anyone. In fact, I would wager 10 Bitcoin. It's not even a wager. I'll just give it to you. If that's 300 grand today, right? So if you do 25 hours of studying Bitcoin and blockchain, just study the white paper and Bitcoin, 25 hours, and you walk away from this industry, I'll give you 10 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
More likely, the people that walk away are the people that did 4 hours and they got confused. You have to do the 25 hours at least, okay? But then you get past the noise, like the your own. Look, Circle's making $70 million a month just doing a stable coin. Now, if you look at that, the Goldman Sachs of the world are going to go, man, dude, that margin. Yeah, but it's $70 million of free cash flow. Okay. Now, Goldman doesn't like it because it makes their other portfolio look like it's like making huge amounts of money. My position is their money isn't going to continue that way. It's all going to move into this space where the volumes expand, the margins collapse. And the legacy players hate margin collapse because it reflects on their marks. They have to show earnings to Wall Street on a quarterly basis, which is insane. That we would be building $100 trillion industries, and you got to do it on a quarterly basis of how well you're performing. It's not a successful model. They won't want to see their EBITDA contracting, right? Yep. They're going to want to see EBITDA expanding. Yet this other industry is like, hey, I'll do it for 70 million. It's a hell of a lot more. It's 0.0005, but I was making zero yesterday. So exactly. I think if you have a lot of paradoxes going, a lot of pressure going on right now, that is going to make the world more efficient. I mean, Bitcoin and blockchain are really about driving inefficiencies out of the system. It's like mercury, right? It's going to be really heavy. It's going to just fill all the lowest points, any gaps. It will seek out. AI is not going to attack the grocery bagger. It's going to attack the doctor, man. Everybody's got this wrong. It's going to attack the most expensive utility that's in the marketplace. And it's probably going to make us better, right? Like in 4 years, you're probably not going to have any surgeons doing surgery on you. They're going to be robots. Yep. So that's all got to be really good news, but you need a lot of big data to feed into these AIs. And I'm not sure we have all the data yet because we don't have all the data in a clear, transparent method on a blockchain that isn't for, alteration.
Yep. Absolutely.
Manipulation.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hey man, I appreciate you coming onto the channel. Honestly, it's an honor to have you here, and it's an honor to have you in the actual space. That's the key takeaway. And, again, thank you everybody for showing up to watch this video because, like Gary said, without this channel, he wouldn't be on it. And without you guys, there would not be a channel. So we appreciate you as per usual for showing up. So thank you so much. And Gary, I'm ready to come to the party that you and Greg have planned in St. Pete here in a couple of months.
Cool, man. Yeah, we got a good little party. I try to do this every 4 months or so. So glad to have you, and we'll probably invite some other people that you know.
Definitely. Sounds good, man. All right. Well, hey, have a wonderful rest of your day. Everybody that's watching, thank you so much for showing up. Obviously, like the video, subscribe to the channel, boom, bang on the notification bell, comment whatever you want in the relevant sections. If you guys think Node 40 is a good project or a good business, actually, give it a thumbs up. We appreciate you guys. Have a good day, everybody. We will see you in the next stream.